as you're learning your scales and riffs and you're practicing over the jam tracks, a real easy way to add some texture to your playing is right now you're probably playing a lot of riffs and licks with single notes. And an easy way to add some texture, which gives a very different sound, which you want to throw in, is using double stops. And all a double stop is just two notes played together. So instead of playing a lot of single notes or one at a time, I want you to start to throw in some double stops or two notes at a time. And you start to get a sound, instead of something like this, you get this. So you could hear that. Two notes together. So you see how you can create these different soundscapes by throwing in two notes instead of just one. And there's a lot of double stops all over, especially in these minor pentatonic scales where you have notes on top of each other on adjacent strings. And then you could bend double stops. For some really cool, nasty kind of Billy Gibbons bends. So I'm going to take you in on a tight shot and I'm going to show you these. And I'll show you just a few, but get creative with them and add them into your playing. So when you're practicing, you know, throw in single notes, and throw in those double stops. And then obviously it'll take you a little while to get the feel for it and where to throw them in and how to phrase them, but you want to be aware that they're there, and you always don't want to play those just note, 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 note. Remember, we want your playing to start to look like this. Hit those loud double stops, do your bends, vibrato, play a little softer, then maybe some single notes, double, dive down, up, and you get this. You don't want your playing to be too flatline. That'll get too boring. You want it to have crevices and cliffs so the listeners can really latch on and sink their teeth into it, and that's how you draw people in. And remember what I keep saying, repeat your licks. When you find something that, you know, noodle around, when you find the magic, keep with it. Vary it. Vary the rhythm, vary the order of the notes, then go noodle around and go back to that. And that's how you create like this motif or a repeating lick that adds a lot of melody. And that's what people, wow, that's catchy, man. I dig that, yeah. So let's try some double stops. Check these out. Just to show you some cool double stops or two notes played together on this minor pentatonic and blues, and we'll just stay in the basic box shape. That's the 5th fret on the low E string, so we're playing this A, minor pentatonic and blues scale that you've been working on. So really cool double stop, again, I like is anytime you see those two notes together. So on the high E string, you got the high E and the B string. And you could slide into that, grab it on the 4th fret, and slide it to the 5th fret. And then hit it a couple times on the 5th fret, very Chuck Berry. Also, you could do that with the 1st finger flat on the 8th fret. And then I really like this double stop here. On the you're kind of using this outside note, but two fingers, the finger flat down on the 7th fret on the B and the G string. That's a mean one, especially when you start adding distortion. And then you can do the same thing on the 5th fret on that B and G string. And then go up a string on the next two, which would be on the D and the G string on the 7th and the 5th fret. So you want to throw these double stops in with your playing because they add texture and they really sound different from single notes all the time. So really throw them in there. And then when you get good at them, you could start doing what's called double stop bends, where you're bending two notes. So for instance, I like this double stop. So what I'm doing there is now for this, my 3 fingers are flat. I'm not hooking them. Flat because I need that strength. My thumb is wrapped over the top and I'm bending that one where I use that outside note, that major 6th, which works a lot, especially in Dorian. what I'm doing is I'm bending the B and the G strings at that 7th fret about a half a step each. And the reason why that one works is technically because I'm bending this up to the next note in the scale, right, which is that G note, and I'm bending the G string up to that blue note. Remember, that's your blue note. So bend both of them flat. Flatten the fingers, hook the thumb just to get strength. It's a nice double stop bend. Here's another nice one. Now this one I'm leaving the pinky on that B string, on that G note, which is at the 10th fret, and then 3 fingers go on the 5th, 6th, and 7th fret on the G string. So I'm basically bending up. I'm doing that blue note bend, but at the same time, I'm holding that G note. So I like to put 3 fingers down, like I always bend with as much as possible, many fingers as possible for strength, but you hear this note ringing because as I'm bending this up, this one stays down. So you get this cool interval here, and that's a nice double stop bend. So bend this up a half step while holding your pinky on that G note on that 8th fret on the B string. That's a really nice one. And another one of my favorite double stops is this one. And what I'm doing there is I'm just playing 2 notes together, and I usually do that with my first finger on that G note again, and that's at the 8th fret on the B string, and then my second finger at the 9th fret on the G string. That's actually an E note, but together it sounds really nice, and it's very nice to slide them a half step into them. It's a very common lick. And then all I'm doing is I'm sliding out and back into that basic box. Just to have a little fun, I added a little gain, a little distortion to these double stops because I want you to hear how they sound distorted. They sound really cool when you start adding gain. Here's that one with the double stop bend. And here's the one that's up a little high. Very Billy Gibbons-esque. Remember, anywhere you have those 2 notes, they all sound nice. When used in moderation, of course. And then here's that other one where I'm holding one string on the B string on that G note, and I'm bending to the blues note on the G string. So try some of those double stops. They're a lot of fun and add a lot of texture.